Well, welcome back to the Boatyard here at John Crawford Marine. Today's tips and maintenance, we're going to be talking about hitching up your trailer to the back of your car. There's some simple things to do, but there's also some important things not to do. So let's go through a few of those basics today and hopefully give you a little bit of advice and steer you in the right direction. So when reversing onto your trailer, remember the old adage that the truck drivers use: if they can't see you in their mirrors, they can't see you at all. So that's the case with this. So we've got Jeff there standing in front of the trailer. We're going to reverse down towards Jeff nice and slowly, but we want to be able to make eye contact with him the whole time, either in the rear vision mirror in the centre of the car or on our side mirrors. But I do recommend the rear vision mirror because basically Jeff's going to hold his hand up vertically, and that's going to pinpoint the centre of the tow bar or the coupling of the trailer, and we want to get the tow bar of the car and the coupling married up perfectly. So if we follow Jeff's hand signal there in the rear vision mirror, we'll get on there perfect. So nice and steady, nice and slow. If in doubt, stop, get out, and then instruct on what your actions are going to be. So let's go backwards nice and slow. We've got Jeff up there watching his hands. He's saying come back, come back, come back, which is great. We're nice and slow. We're nice and straight. Now his hands gesture's showing us we've got about a metre to go. Coming in closer, 30 centimetres to go. The reverse alarms are on. He's now indicating nice and slow. His hands up for stop. We are now directly underneath the coupling, nice and safe. So the car back in park, handbrake on, and naturally turn it off. So the coupling is now on top of the tow ball, and Jeff's now lowering the jockey wheel, which allows the coupling to go down over the ball. We then use the R-clip, as indicated there. The R-clip's a safety securing pin, just to help make sure that the top piece, or the handle, doesn't come off the tow. So now all the weight's removed from the trailer. We're now completely attached to the back of the vehicle. We'll now fold up the jockey wheel. But just a tip there, always make sure the wheel is facing forward and the handle is to the rear. We do this for the simple reason that, well, this is a forward drive, so it's not too much of a drama. But if we flip this around the other way, if this trailer was being attached to something like a Commodore or a Falcon who has a much lower centre of gravity, that handle could actually end up being bumped on the ground or over a bump and snaps off. And trust me, the trailer guys make more money out of the handles than they do out of the whole jockey wheel. So handle to the back, wheel to the front. If not, if it's a removable one, just secure it in the back of your car. So the next thing that we like to do in the sequence of attaching your trailer to your car is secure the safety chain. So with this chain here, we've got that with a rated D shackle. That's imperative. Don't use a really small shackle, but try and find one that's rated to the size of the chain or the trailer. And now it's nice and secure. Don't over tighten the D shackle, there's no need for that. The D shackle's to go in firm and then just take a little bit of pressure off. The next thing to do is to attach your trailer lights. In this case here, we've got a 7-pin flat plug, but the vehicle's 7-pin round. So we've got an adapter there that we can plug into. It's imperative with electrical connections to ensure that they're clean, dust-free and debris-free. So we now slide the 7-pin round into the back of the car. It's important to check the overhang. So see how we've got a bit of a belly there in the cable? So what we might do there is pull that out, just fold that around the safety chain possibly, or the coupling, and then reattach it to the back of the car. Just in the event we're down the highway, we don't want the trailer lights, the wiring, scraping on the ground, which in turn might damage it and then obviously fail. Our trailer lights may fail. So we've now got our trailer lights hooked up, the R-clip through, the coupling attached, the safety chain on, the jockey wheel up. The next thing on this particular trailer is that we've got mechanical override brakes. So there's two things to do here. A, Jeff's showing you there the reversing clip. So how this system works is if we put that reverse clip over, as it is in this position now, if we were to reverse the vehicle, like up into the garage or down the boat ramp, we are actually pushing the brakes on via a cantilever effect, because this here would be pushing backwards, this bar, which pulls this cable tight. The cable then pulls the calipers on the discs. So we'd actually be pushing the brakes on, making it hard to reverse. So in reverse, we use the anti-reverse lock, or that mechanism, but when we're driving forwards, it's the reciprocal, we take that away. So it must come off onto this position here. So now as we put the brakes on the vehicle, the inertia of the car sliding forward on that pulls that cable tight, pulls the calipers on, and our brakes work. That's one system, there's others, we'll talk about that later in other episodes. So we've got the brakes. They're also on this trailer, we've got a handbrake system. So we've got to make sure the handbrake is turned off. So that's free. I'll just show you what it looks like when it's turned on. So we slide that back, that would be the handbrake on. So we're pulling this pin here, which pulls that cable tight. So we're going to make sure that's turned off. So we put that securing arm up and over. So now the coupling is completely free and almost ready for transit. Just a couple of other things to test now and make sure. We normally keep our winch handles up in our anchor wells. Easy to get when you're at the ramp. So we just want to make sure that our winch wire is now nice and secure. Doesn't be overly tight, but just make sure it's secure. Just to bring that forwards. So that's now nice and secure. Handle back in the anchor locker. And our safety chain. It's imperative in Queensland that you recognise that goods being used as load, which is what a boat comes in as, has to be secured in two places. A winch is not recognised as a securing point. So it's imperative you have a safety chain which attaches the winch post to the bow, and then a safety rope or a safety strap over the rear of the trailer. Next job, to the back of the trailer. So the tie down strap goes on next. Remember, we need two securing points. As we've discussed in previous episodes on tips and maintenance, always put a little bit of a twist in the strap. It just takes away that shimmering, whimmering noise down the highway. One less thing to hear when you're towing. Don't over tighten this strap. It needs to be firm, but not tight. Too tight can actually drive the bottom of the boat into the rollers or the skids and lead to damage of the hull. Remember not to leave this tail flapping around on the road. So how do we get rid of it? Nothing like a few half hitches. As we've discussed in some previous tips and maintenance episodes, I like to recommend to keep your motor stored in the down position. So now that we're going to tow it out of the garage, let's assume we're in a garage, we want to tow it, we've got to tilt the motor up. Many skegs, this part down here are damaged where people forget to trim it up and naturally it hits the bottom when towing. So let's trim this up. On this particular outboard, there's actually a factory fitted securing bracket or travelling bracket. So we trim this all the way up. We put our bracket down and then we bring the motor back down onto that. Now the motor's in travelling mode. One of the key things when bringing your aerial down is to have the aerial at a height that's above eye height. There's been a horror story in the industry over the years that where a gentleman has taken his aerial down, reversed it into the garage, the boat, turned it around to make sure it's looking good and put the end of an aerial into his eye. So you'll see a lot of aerials where they'll have some sort of a safety device on the end. This one's a bit of a fishing float. Sometimes you see ping pong balls, but look, really to avoid it, just keep the angle of this higher than head height. So last thing to do before we hit the road, naturally, is just to check the trailer lights. So right indicator should be on. Check the brakes. Yep, we've got the thumbs up there. And the next to the tail lights. And we've got the thumbs up there. Excellent. Let's hit the road. Well, I'm all set now and safe and secure and ready for the highway. So I hope you've learned a few things there from those tips on securing your trailer to the back of your car. See you next time.
Something that people ask me a lot is, okay, I'm great at catching fish, or I love fish and I love buying it whole, but how do I fillet it? So I thought we'd pick a species today and we'd ask Steve, one of our main filleters here, to fillet it. Hi Steve. Hi. I think we should choose the saddle-tail snapper, so if we can have a saddle-tail snapper. Fantastic, and we're going to take you in and show you how to fillet it. Okay, we have a lovely saddle-tail sea perch here. And this is actually a species that is quite local to Queensland and South-East Queensland and across the top of Australia. It's something a lot of sporting fishers would catch themselves out on the water, and it's also a very popular species to buy in a fishmonger, like Morgan's Seafood Market. And we would love for Steve to show you the best way to fillet this and how to go about maintaining the most amount of flesh.
Okay, Donna, thank you very much. Okay, first thing you need is a good sharp knife, good quality knife. You can pick these from most fishing tackle retailers, a good quality knife shop. This would be, we would use for filleting, and you need to make sure it's kept reasonably sharp, otherwise you'll have trouble obviously cutting through the fish.
And how do you sharpen this if you sort of keep it nice and sharp?
Well, we have what's known as a steel.
Oh, it's like a butcher's steel.
Yeah, it is. It's exactly the same as a butcher's steel. And I'll do this in slow motion for you. All we really do to keep the knife
I'll
sharp.
stand back.
Yep. Just hold the steel like so, and just all you're doing is just gently bringing the knife down in a sort of a downward motion. Obviously, the more you do it, the easier it gets, the quicker it becomes.
And think of someone that you're cranky with at the time,
right.
you know, makes it a little bit sharper.
And that's all you do, really. That just keeps the edge on the knife, basically. Yeah, and
beautiful. Please don't do that, you're scaring me. It's very sharp. Okay, so where would someone start with the filleting process? Okay,
we have our fish. This one's a saddle tail snapper. And what you first do is put the knife around the back of the head. Just right down on the back there. Try and keep it as near to the head as possible, to where the bone is in the centre. Then come out that way with the knife towards the belly. And then we would put the knife at the back of the head. You're not going to see this.
You're right. So just one moment. Gently. Can you just turn that around, just so that viewers can see? Because this is actually quite a complicated part of the filleting process.
Yep, no problem. Okay, the knife goes at the back of the head, where the centre bone runs along the fish, the frame. Just run the knife all the way down the frame to the tail.
You make this look so easy, Steve.
Keep a bit of pressure on your other hand, so the fish doesn't move as you're moving the knife down towards the tail. Okay, and then just guide the knife up and down the bone, gently taking all the meat off it. Yep, and just gently guide the knife all the way down to the belly. And so, that's one side of the fish. Just a little wash. That's one side of the fish we have. Turn over the fish. Same thing again, from the head, from the gills, right around the back of the head. This time, instead of coming from the head down, you go from the tail up towards the back of the head. Keep the pressure on the hand.
Now, I just want to ask you a couple of questions, Steve. Now, we've obviously gutted these because we sell the fish whole, and people can take it home and cook it like that, or they can have it filleted, but you don't necessarily need to gut it.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
No.
And you don't scale it before you, unless, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, if you want to have the skin on with the fish, if you want to eat it with the skin on, then scale it before you fillet it, because you will have problems.
A few problems.
All right, you'll find it very hard to scale the fish once it's been filleted.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
So if you're going to actually cook it crispy skin, then you need to take the scales off before you start the filleting process. Otherwise, if the skin's coming off, leave it on.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
excellent.
All right, and as I say, knife up and down the frame. Trying to get as much fish off the bone as you can.
Obviously, trying to retain as much of the fish flesh is important to us because this is our business, but I think it's also important to the amateur fishermen. You want to keep your prize catch, and if you're going to have that for dinner, you want to try and plate up as much of that fish as possible.
That's right, that's correct.
Yeah, and don't throw the carcass away. It makes an awesome stock. So keep that, and then you can put that into your fish sauce or your sauce that you're making with your dinner.
Okay, so after we're going to go for a break? Yeah.
I think we should take a break and come back in a few moments.